Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since I posted. I've pretty much been busy working and hanging out with friends and just living my life, but I thought it's time to give an update. Last year I made a video about what I hated about working in retail banking. So this is a counter video to that where I'm going to talk about what I like when it comes to retail banking. Since I have been employed by a bank now for the last almost 4 months since September. It's now mid-January. Yeah, pretty much for 4 months. So here it is. The first thing that comes to my mind is job security. I love getting paid every 2 weeks on the dot, guaranteed. I don't have to worry about making enough money. I know exactly more or less what's going to be in my bank account every other Friday. You can budget your life based on what you're going to receive. I also gamble and I actually make some money gambling. So that's extra. Anything I made gambling that I put into my bank account is extra. But the paycheck that I have is my basic source of income. And I love having that security that every other Friday I'm going to have X amount of money in my bank account. I can save a little bit. I can go out. I can travel. And I can spend whatever I need to spend or whatever I want to spend. Number two is the benefits. I love the fact that I have now a pretty good healthcare insurance. So as most people know, living here in the States, you do need to have healthcare insurance. You're not required to in every state, but I live in California. And actually in California, if you don't have healthcare insurance, you get penalized for that when you file your taxes. So you have to tell them what insurance you have. I disagree with that. I don't think it should be forced. But I guess the rationale is that, if people stop having insurance, that the premiums for the people that do have insurance will go up. So everyone should pitch into the system. And I kind of understand that logic, but in principle, I'm still against forcing people to have insurance, especially that the insurance out here can be very expensive. Although in California, if you're poor, the insurance is really inexpensive because it's subsidized. But if you're just barely into what they call middle class, then your insurance will be more. But if you are like most people who have jobs, then you don't really have to worry about it because your employer will provide you with health insurance. Only very, very small employers that employ below 5 people don't have to provide you with health insurance. So if you work for any business that is bigger or even mid-sized, they will give you health insurance. And usually it's pretty good. Mine is Kaiser Permanente, and it's a pretty decent health insurance. So that's another thing I like is the benefits. Apart from the health insurance, I also get, that includes, by the way, optical and dental insurance. Apart from that, I get paid time off, which is great. That means I can take a week off or 2 weeks off and it will be paid time off. Whereas if you're self-employed and you take time off, you don't get paid for that time. So if you're not working for 2 weeks, you have to budget that you will get 2 weeks less money. I like that we have some federal holidays. So this is pretty similar to where I lived in England, where they have bank holidays. They have those here too. So there was... after Christmas, we got the Monday off. We got the Monday off after New Year's. Today is Monday, and it's Martin Luther King Day today, so we have that off. So this is already 3 Mondays, almost in a row, not in a row, but close together, that have been off for all banks, which is pretty cool. So you're getting all those long weekends, and those are paid for too. The third thing I would say that I like is having a purpose each day. And it sounds kind of sad because your purpose is your work, but maybe I just have a sad life, but I do like having that purpose. I do like getting up and having a place to go, I think that translates into feeling needed and knowing that there are people that rely on you. So, there are days that I have to be there, and because we are very short-staffed, my manager relies on me being there to literally run the bank, to run the branch, because if I'm not there, there aren't enough people and there wouldn't be enough people to open the branch. So that makes me feel needed, and it kind of gives me a sense of purpose, having somewhere to go each day. And then obviously that's within my bank, but then there are also customers that rely on me and they want me to be there. They want me to help them. They want me to do stuff with them, sit down with them, go over their finances and get them this or get them that, do this for them or that for them. And just being needed by other people feels good. The fourth thing I would say is structure. So when I was self-employed, I didn't have a structure to my day. Some days I went to the gym, but that was kind of it. And I hung out with my friends there. That was great. But then I didn't really have a structure. I did a little Ubering. If I had guests at the Airbnb, I would obviously have to work on getting the Airbnb prepped up for new guests and making sure that the sheets have been changed and all that stuff. But apart from that, it was like, oh, do I go Uber today or do I just hang out? And more often than not, I made decisions that weren't good for me financially, and I chose leisure over money making. So I was kind of not making enough money, and I was spending way more money than I was making. And having this structure where I'm needed, where I'm at the bank every day, it like takes up a lot of my time, but because it takes up a lot of my time, it doesn't give me enough time for getting in trouble. And by that, I mean doing things that aren't good for me, making choices that aren't good for me. So because I have less free time now, I utilize my free time a lot smarter. So, what I do in the afternoon after work, I think about it carefully. I have a select number of friends that I want to hang out with. I don't just hang out with anyone because of the limited free time that I have. And that makes me focus more on my important friendships rather than just like hanging out with random people that I don't really know or I don't care to get to know. It makes you value your free time a lot more. You start appreciating your free time and you want to utilize it better. And I think that's very important. Fifth thing that I like is working with other people. So when you're self-employed, at least when I was self-employed, I worked alone, whether it was renting out properties or whether it was driving an Uber or whether it was delivering DoorDash during the pandemic. I was alone and it felt kind of lonely. And if you're an introvert like me, you don't really mind being alone. But the thing about introverts is we still like to hang out with other people. We just like to have a few quality friends rather than hanging out with a bunch of random people. We prefer hanging out with the people that we really like, quality friendships. So yeah, when you are working with a team, even as an introvert, you have that interaction. And I live alone, so for me, I miss sometimes being with other people. And so when you go to work, you're with other people 8 hours a day. And I'm lucky to have a pretty good team. I get along with everyone on my team. I have a great boss. I have a great teammate, great teammates. I have great teammates and great colleagues. And we all get along pretty well. Like, we joke around. There's a lot of laughter. There's a lot of banter at the office. So I actually don't mind going to work. It's fun. And I like interacting with customers. Again, that can get a little tiring when there's a long line of people and you have like 3 appointments and you have to do this and that. But overall it's great because, I don't know, Americans are usually pretty nice people. I like interacting with Americans a lot more than I like interacting with the Brits because Brits are more serious and they're more, I don't know, they have like a stiff upper lip. They're just harder to like banter with and joke around. Brits are harder to break through for me. I get along so much. I find getting along with Americans is a lot easier. So when I'm here, I interact with Americans, obviously. And having American clients for me is easier. That's not to say that there aren't assholes and that there aren't people that are jerks. Of course there are. Those people are not particular to any one country. I realize that. But overall, I always, speaking overall, generally speaking, that I get along with people here. I find people here easier to get along with and more fun to get along with. Like, there's a lot more joking around, a lot more banter. Maybe it's because it's California. Like, people in California are pretty happy. They're pretty chill. Like, some of the customers that I don't like are like cranky old ladies that are entitled, maybe because they have a little more money than everyone else. They're super entitled. They're like, what? I don't want to stand in line. Well, tough. Everybody has to stand in line. Whether you're like an immigrant worker from Mexico, or a rich white lady, you both have to stand in the same line. I'm sorry. That's how things roll. So those are kind of the only people that have a bad attitude, as people that are entitled because they have a lot of money. But normally, most people are pretty chill. And, not to gang up on old ladies, because there's a lot of old white ladies that are really nice, and they're like very grandma-like, and they're very grandmotherly, even if they're, even though they have a lot of money, they can still be pretty nice. So I do like interacting with people, and then when I get home, I am on my own, and because I've been with people all day, I actually don't mind getting home and being alone. When I was working alone and then I got home and I was alone, that was different, because I was really missing someone around me, and I was missing human contact. But now that I'm with humans, like 8-9 hours a day, when I get home and it's just me, I'm like, oh, yes. So I have a glass of wine, I can put on my show and just chill. Unless I have plans with friends, which is also okay, because they're friends and I don't feel like I'm overextending myself with too much human contact. Anyway, so those are the things that I do like about retail banking. If you have any questions about retail banking in the States, feel free to ask. There are moments that are frustrating, but there are far and few in between. I would say mostly I like my job, and I feel fulfilled in my job, and I appreciate that I can have a job. Oh, another thing I forgot is 401k. One of the benefits that I have is a 401k, which is deducted from my salary, and it gets invested, and the bank matches my contribution, which I think I selected a 6% contribution. So they put another 6% in it. So that's pretty good.